Hello, Jen Gilchrist here. Super excited to be here. I'm just going to check my microphone. Perfect. Super excited to be here with you again for day 3 of Awake and Break Free Facebook Live series. I'm really excited to share today's topic. It's all about how to feel the fear and still take aligned action anyways. Right? I know that we can all probably relate to being outside of your comfort zone. It's kind of one of those things as an entrepreneur that you have to just be able to learn how to have tools and resources and inner strength and commitment to really feel the fear and move out of your comfort zone kind of regularly, right? It's part of the process that I think, anytime we're adventuring into the unknown, it triggers fear within us. It triggers our ego, it triggers our mind. It triggers insecurities and perhaps even insecurities and fears that we may have already thought that we had dealt with. And I'm sure that we have dealt with to a degree, but that each time that we play a bigger game, ask for more, really align even more fully with what really matters to us and our purpose work and sharing our gifts in the world, more and more things will get triggered inevitably. And the thing I've noticed, especially for spiritual and heart-centered entrepreneurs, change makers, messengers, we are definitely taking steps out of the norm. We're being leaders in a sense that, we're awake and we're helping others awaken to their unique gifts and heal through their things. It's getting more mainstream, but it's not like, it's still kind of new for a lot of people, right? And so it definitely is going to trigger, push our buttons a little bit more than some things would. Hi, Norma Jean, thank you for joining. And so today I want to talk a little bit about how you can really, feel the fear and take action anyways, because it really is important to be able to move through your comfort zone. It's like your comfort zone's here, but your miracles and your dreams and your gifts and your abundance and your purpose work is going to be outside of that comfort zone. And oftentimes too, what I've noticed is that for more spiritually based entrepreneurs and purpose-driven entrepreneurs and healers and coaches, it's not always that every single very structured business strategy will work the same for us, right? In fact, I work a lot in the Akashic Records, and we all have our unique manifesting blueprint. We all have our unique spiritual gifts. We're all unique sparks of divine, and really learning how to take the information, because there are some really powerful strategies. And I think I definitely has a big learning curve to get online and to share, just learn the technology and learn ways to communicate about my services in a way that attracts the ideal client. So there's definitely some learning and some strategy that works, but it's not cookie cutter template, right? Trying to do it the old fashioned, 1, 2, 3 steps don't often work. And it can leave us feeling frustrated, disheartened, and sometimes feeling hopeless and just all kinds of things, fear, questioning ourselves, doubt, maybe not trusting your intuition if you've tried something in the past that you thought was a go and it just didn't work out. And so all of these are just ways that fear manifests in our egoic mind, will begin to try to get us stuck and stalled, right? And spinning and not taking action or not getting the results, right? Hi, Susan. So glad you're here live. And so today I want to share with you a little bit, I'm going to share just a quick story. Some of you may have heard it about myself, and then give you a few tools that you can use to really feel the fear and take that aligned action anyways, because that's really a muscle that you have to be able to cultivate and grow. And I guess in the beginning, I'm just going to say part of it just takes a real commitment, right? Really staking your claim in the ground and making a commitment to yourself and to your vision for yourself, and knowing that nothing's going to stop you. And so maybe some things work out better than others, but it's okay. You just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, do get the support that you need along the way. That's where community comes into play, and mentors and other things, and just keep going. Right. So first and foremost, I think it really does require a strong commitment to yourself. But I'm going to go into that a little bit more at the end as well. I definitely know a lot about moving through comfort zones. Again, I think as entrepreneurs and as women and as people, living this sort of spiritual path, we go through this process in different ways a lot. For me, I always had this vision, or not always, but since I kind of had my waking the first time about 10 years ago, almost now 9 maybe, I kept seeing a vision of myself really speaking on stages, being an author, speaking on big stages and sharing my message and really making a big impact in the world with my voice and with my words. And interestingly, those are my biggest fears, right? In high school, I was literally so shy about sharing, oral reports. Even like I'd raise my hand and speak, and my teachers would always, and even still this happens, this will sometimes happen, I'm more conscious of it, but they'll say, speak up, you're whispering, you're whispering. And in my mind, I wasn't whispering, but my energy would just shrink when all this attention would come on me. I later kind of find out that part of this is due to being highly sensitive, and it was literally all this attention energy made me just kind of want to shrink back and feel shy or overwhelmed energetically, but I didn't know that, right? All I knew is that I was super, timid. I didn't want to voice myself. I begged my teachers. I was a good honor student, so I was able to convince my teachers to let me do all my oral reports before or after school, or I just wouldn't do it in high school. And, so I really, this lifelong fear was keeping me stuck. And I really didn't even join networking groups because I didn't want to stand up and say like a 1-minute name of who I am and what my business was. And that was really holding my business back, right? And then secondarily, it was this fear of like speaking my spiritual truth, right? About waking up as a psychic and as an intuitive and a healer, when I was raised in a family that has a lot of fear around that, a lot of, great in a very conservative religious structure that felt very afraid of what these gifts were and thought it was more like devil's work. So I had all these things going on that I was just like, oh my gosh. And so I thought I was getting my business off the ground, but I was kind of doing it in hiding. And I went to this summit where they were talking about client attraction, and I was like, all of a sudden they're talking about speaking to get clients. And it's like, I saw this big vision, but I thought it was like way out in the future. I wasn't really prepared to address that fully. I was leading smaller little meetup groups in town at the time, and it really wasn't working. It wasn't growing that well yet. And I realized that this lifelong fear was really holding me back. And so at the end, the speaker, they started talking about the speaker training. And I was like, oh crap, inside my body, I just felt a yes, right? So let me know if you've ever felt like that ding, 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 like you just know, like intuitively, like I need to do this. I don't even know what it's about, but I know that my soul is kind of saying, yes, yes, this is it. You need to do it. But immediately all kinds of fear got triggered throughout my entire body. And I almost didn't really quite have a full-on panic attack, but kind of close, right? Because there was this confliction happening that I knew that it was a full body yes, yet fear and ego came in right away. How am I going to afford it? What if I go and pay for it? Underneath money, there's always other fears, right? I know this, and money was a factor because it was like, it ended up being like $22,000. It was a $22,000 program. So it was like $1,000 payments for 22 months. And I didn't even have my mortgage payment in there. And I'm thinking, holy crap, I had built enough trust, right? We talked yesterday a bit about cultivating that trust and like surrendering the how and trusting the process to unfold and knowing that we can create what our needs. And so I had built a lot of trust in this area in terms of realizing that if I'm doing something that's in support of my purpose work, if I'm doing something that I really truly want, that makes my heart sing, I know the money comes in and I'm fully supported and guided. And yet I know that also money can be a real factor that shows up in your face and it feels very real, right? Even though I know it's not. I've created so many miracles around money that I know that it's not, but it can still feel very real in the moment when it comes to signing that contract, right? So I was kind of freaking out, and I went outside. There was about 300 other empathic people in the room making this decision. I was having trouble distinguishing. So let me know if you're highly sensitive and you can relate to this, distinguishing what was their feelings and what was mine. So I went outside, and I'm going to teach you this little TLC process, which you may have heard me talk about before, but it might be a good reminder, or for those of you that are new, it's helpful. And so I went outside and I took myself through this process that I like to call the TLC body meditation. And I went outside and I put my feet on the ground. I just breathed in the air, started out with getting present, my energy just kind of scattered out of my body. I was so panicked about this decision, feeling a yes, afraid to say yes, not knowing how. And then underneath that fear, I realized it was more about, well, what if I don't show up? What if I pay all this money and I don't even show up and do the program because I'm so petrified of speaking? Like that was really what I was afraid of, if I would really show up for myself, right? And so I sat down and I just closed my eyes and I did the T. The T stands for talk. So I was like talking to my body, taking a deep breath, asking it, what does it need right now? What is most aligned for me to take on my path? And so that's a great question to begin to tune into, right? First I grounded and breathed, felt my feet on the ground, tuned inward. And then it was like, okay, so what is the most aligned thing that I can do? Is saying yes to this program aligned, or saying no? And I kind of feel this. So I've done this a lot for myself, so I can kind of imagine myself in the bubble of the energy of saying yes or saying no. But if you're new to it, you can also stand up and stand in one position that's saying yes and feel that energy, and then stand in a no and see what that feels like. Sometimes standing might help you feel more grounded in your body to distinguish, and you can go back and forth. But going back to the process, talk. So I breathed and talked, what is the most aligned answer? And I just felt like, what would it feel like to say yes? And I just imagined myself in the energy, visualize saying yes, into this program. and I felt. And so L stands for listen. So listening to your body's responses, listening, or in my case, for me, a yes feels very expansive and heart opening. And this is something you can play with for yourself as well. And then when it's a no, it feels more contracted. And so then I felt, okay, I'm going to step out of that energy and release it. And I'm going to step into, what does it feel like to say no? And I felt, more of a contraction, even though there was a lot of fear. So this is where it's important to like get yourself a little more grounded and connected to your breath first, right? You'll be able to start to distinguish, is this a yes or no? And you'll be able to bypass the mind chatter and get into the body and into your heart and into your intuition and really connect with, okay, but what is in my highest path? And for me, it was a yes. So I ended up, leaping in alignment with my vision. I kind of got to the point where I knew that if I didn't do it, it was out of fear. It was out of fear of me speaking. It was out of fear of having to show up. It was out of fear of like making that big investment, which was ultimately, it increased my havingness because I was investing in myself in such a large way. Financially, that was the biggest investment I had made in my business. And so, but it worked out, it worked out and I did it, and it really shifted things dramatically for me in many, many ways. And so I guess my point is that we have to be willing, like when I think for me, the pivotal point was feeling like when the pain of like not feeling fulfilled and knowing that I'm just prolonging, like I knew I didn't have to say yes. If I didn't say yes, I'd probably still get there, right? But I knew that this was an opportunity that was being presented to me right now. And I would be getting there more quickly if I took it, and I would be prolonging it if I said no, right? And because I knew that, and I'm very committed to the process and my purpose work and this path that I'm on, right? Because ultimately, what's most aligned for me and brings me happiness, joy, and fulfillment is going to also impact other people in a big way. And money's attached to that, all of it. It's like a win-win, right? So I knew I'd just be prolonging what it is I really wanted. And I would be saying no to myself in a sense. And so I said yes, and I left in alignment with that because I kind of felt like that my lack of fulfillment was bigger than my fear, right? Of just getting over it. It's like, well, I've got to get over it sometime. I guess this is how. The speaker portion of that program wasn't for 9 months. So I'm like, well, I got 9 months to figure it out, right? There was other programs leading up to it. And so, and I did it, and it was great. And I was very proud of myself for that. And like I said, that helped in a lot of ways. So just tune in. That TLC process is good. And so asking yourself that question, even in your journaling, what is the most aligned action for me today? And start, tuning into your body. Maybe like I did, I'd like to go outside in nature and kind of connect with my breath first, so I can start to quiet down the mind chatter. Another thing that I like to do is really connect deeply. Part of that piece for me was really tuning into the lack of fulfillment about not doing what I knew was in alignment for me, right? Or without fulfilling my purpose work in the world, because ultimately that's fulfilling me as well. It's a win-win. It's just a reflection of the micro and the macro, right? Was bigger than my fear. I was very committed to that. So tuning into your big why and asking, you have a few questions that you can journal with. It's like connecting with your next level of you now, connecting with that future self, like even a year forward from now, or that big vision, whatever you feel most lit up about. And I know I say this a lot, you've probably heard it a lot, but do we do it a lot, right? Sometimes in these moments when we have to make these decisions and tuning in regularly to your big why and to your vision, and really kind of connecting with your future self, asking questions, really connecting with that, thinking about how do you feel when you see yourself really leading and showing up in a way that you're meant to serve on? How do you feel when you're actually doing your heart's desire and expressing your gifts and your whatever they are for you into the world? Like, how does that feel when you visualize and you see yourself standing there leading in whatever way you feel guided and called to lead? Like, what makes your heart sing, right? How does that impact you, right? Yourself? How does that impact your personal relationships and your life with your families, right? How does that impact the world at large? And really staying deeply rooted in those pieces will help you take action through the fear, right? Taking action as that next level version now, right? Because that's how we can start to call in and magnetize and cultivate. It's really cultivating confidence. It's cultivating worthiness. It's healing yourself. So it's like, in the beginning, I started talking about, we need to do that inner work, but then I also think it's equally as important to take the outward action through that commitment of the fear, and also, the outward visualization and manifesting proactive tools. And so when you work from both sides, it starts to come together beautifully, and it creates this alignment that you can know which actions to take, and you'll begin to have the courage. And so my suggestion is really to just start one step at a time, right? When you start building that muscle of trust, things will happen. My other suggestion is being in community, these kinds of groups, and getting the support that you need if you are feeling stuck. That's another thing that you can do. We can do a lot on our own, and then I feel like at certain points, sometimes having support on the outside, whether it's a one-on-one coach or a group program or a mastermind, or even sometimes just a weekend workshop or retreat, different things. Our soul's going to be calling us in different ways. And so the more that we learn to tune in and trust ourselves and notice the things that are coming into our experience, making the request, quieting ourselves regularly enough to listen, and then taking that action, knowing that we're always guided and supported, is really a powerful, powerful gift. And for me, I think when I really started being able to take big leaps of faith is when I started really leaning into the arms of my angels and my spiritual support team, and really feeling that I'm not alone, really connecting with that larger part of myself, my own divinity, the truth of who I am, knowing that, but then also still when my humanness and my fears, arise, and our mental chatter and all these things that are part of being a human being forgets that larger part of that divinity, that God self that I am, that I'm always connected to and made of. I can lean into the support of my other spiritual support team and see confirmations and validation that they are actually always there for me too. And it helps me take that action, because I know that I'm always guided and protected and supported when I choose to take action in alignment with what is fueling me and my purpose and my peace and my happiness, right? This is where I started out doing this with massage. I used to be afraid, not to want to spend the money on massage or whatever. And then it became like, well, you know what, if it's really making me feel more happy and at peace and more balanced and able to show up more fully for my clients and for my daughter and for my life, well, then of course it's going to be supported. Right? Same with organic food. Used to be like, oh, it's too expensive. And it's like, wait a second. No, this is all in alignment. So we have to choose first, and then the support comes in when we make the commitment and the decision. And so, starting in those smaller kinds of decisions years back has helped me get to where I can take larger leaps of faith. So hope this is supportive. Let me know how this is resonating for you. Sometimes I don't see all the comments and stuff, but I appreciate you joining me live. And so for those of you too, as I've been sharing the invitation the past few days, I do have a few spots open for the 6-week intensive Awake and Elevate, which is really me holding your hand. It's a weekly week. We connect together weekly, and I can help you see your blind spots, help you see this transition and this growth period to really help you move into those next levels of success, and to get out of spinning your wheels or feeling frustrated or lacking clarity, whatever that is, wherever you're feeling stuck and whatever's showing up for you. We can help you move through these bigger, deeper karmic patterns, whether it's around money or family or visibility or whatever that may be. We'll just start where you are. It's one of my gifts, and we're going to work energetically and strategically. So it's definitely, the inner, I'd like to do readings, look at your soul gifts and how you can embody them in your day and your life, because I know that brings abundance and fulfillment and alignment, as well as doing the inner healing work, as well as finding out, what is your next inspired action steps. And then the accountability of connecting weekly will really support you energetically, of me holding space with you to help you make some fast tracks in the direction and move through some of the muck, because sometimes I know it can be a little heavy on our own, and we can look back 6 months later and be in the same spot that we were, and can be just disheartening and frustrating. And the energy is definitely shifting. I'm sure you all felt it this week. Definitely shifting in a lot of ways. The new moon was kind of a catalyst for Uranus moving into Taurus, which is a big energy shift. And so it's really the time we can really utilize the second half of this year in a big way to set long-term plans and foundations. And that's really what we're being called into. And that's in alignment with our values, and really creating that foundational piece for ourselves. So I'd love to support you. I am offering a pretty great price, so feel free to message me. It's about $500 off of my normal coaching, if you're to break it down what that would be, and some bonuses as well. So I'd love to support you in really embodying your divinity and really taking steps to lay the foundation for the rest of the year. Shifting more like boom. Tiki, I love your energy. You're always such a powerhouse. I'm so excited to know you and have you in this community, and have fun working with you too. So keep on rocking it, you guys. If you have any questions about the 6-week one-on-one Awake and Elevate, please message me or comment below. I'd be happy to chat with you and see if it's good for you, if it's a good fit. So have a wonderful day. And if you've missed the previous couple of days, go back and catch them. There are also powerful tips on really just awakening and breaking free, and really starting to shift the energy so that you can move forward with more ease and grace and confidence. All right. Have a great day. Bye.